Proxmox is my current choice for a hypervisor. It's served me well for years now, and all of my virtual machines run on a combination of 3 servers. 2 of them are 1U servers, while the other is a smaller Intel NUC. Surprisingly, it's one that supports virtualization, so I just use it to establish quorum. And after running Proxmox 6 for about a year now, Proxmox has released version 7. This comes with new features, new bug fix, and performance improvements. And I just realized that's the same generic release notes you see on every single app that's released. But in a little more detail than that, here are some of the highlights. So it's based on Debian 11, or Bullseye. Ceph itself has been upgraded to 16.2 while they still support 15.2. The Linux kernel has been upgraded, LXC is now 4.0, QEMU is now 6.0, ZFS is now 2.04, and now it supports Btrfs as an install target, but only as a technology preview, but at least it's there. There have also been some UX and quality of life technical upgrades for us. Single sign-on is now supported with OpenID Connect. This is huge for any other auth proxy like Authelia that supports OpenID Connect. And if configured, you can use one set of credentials to log into all of your systems. The notes field now supports Markdown, which I'm super excited about. And it's nice for those, like me, who want to add some formatting to their notes field within Proxmox. Downloading images directly to Proxmox is welcomed. I mean, how many times have you downloaded an ISO only to upload the ISO directly to Proxmox? And now Proxmox supports downloading that ISO directly to the server itself. But before we explore all of these features, you're probably wondering how we're going to upgrade. It's actually pretty simple, but we should talk about a few things first. First, it's probably a good idea to back up your Proxmox installation. This will ensure that you can roll back in the unlikely event that something goes wrong. But that's why we have backups for the unlikely event that something does go wrong. You could use something like Clonezilla to back up the Proxmox installation and set it aside for later. It's also a good idea to back up your virtual machines and your containers to external storage, something like NFS. This is something that I already do, so I don't need to take this additional step. Next, you'll want to back up everything inside of etc or /etc. Now, if you're doing a full system backup, you don't need to do this. But within etc contains most of the configuration for Proxmox, like /pve, /password, /network, your resolve.conf. So I'd advise just backing up that whole entire folder. And you can do that easily by SSHing into your server and making a backup of /etc. And since I have an NFS share already connected to my Proxmox server, all I did was copy the contents of etc out to my NFS share. You'll want to do this for every server that you have. Then you'll want to download the Proxmox ISO. Now, we're not going to use this ISO to upgrade Proxmox, but it's a good idea to have this ISO handy in case something goes wrong. The reason I do it is because if something goes wrong, I lose DNS and some other critical systems within my HomeLab. And if I don't have DNS and some of my other critical systems when something goes wrong, I'll have a really hard time downloading this ISO. So I'm going to grab it now. And that might be the same for you. If you're running Pi-hole or pfSense within your Proxmox server, you might want to grab this ISO now just in case something goes wrong. Okay, now that all of my PSAs are out of the way, we can start the upgrade, but we need to check a few things. So the requirements. First, you'll want to make sure that Proxmox is at least 6.4. I would also apply any outstanding updates that you see before upgrading. If you're running Ceph, you'll want to make sure that you're running at least 15.2. I'm not running Ceph, so I don't need to check it. But if you are, it needs to be 15.2. Next, you want to make sure that you have access to all of your storage. And so you want to check your local storage as well as your remote storage. And things look pretty good here. If you're running a cluster, like I am, you'll want to make sure that it's healthy. And mine looks pretty healthy, so we can continue. Next, you'll want to make sure you have a backup and that you've tested it. I know I've mentioned it a few times, but it's important. A little backup goes a long way. And then last, you'll want to make sure you have at least 4 gigs on your root mount point. And that's temporary space that it needs while it's upgrading. And if you have all that done, we can start the upgrade. So the first thing we'll want to do is remote into our Proxmox server. And once you remote in, we're going to run a command first to see if our upgrade will succeed. So we're going to run this upgrade checker called PVE 6 to 7. And then I add a -- full on it to do the full suite of tests. And this will go through and check to be sure that our system is okay for upgrading. And let's see here. So it ran some checks. All the packages are up to date, Proxmox is okay, has the right version, cluster is healthy, nodes are okay, totem settings are okay, whatever those are, glad they're okay. Checking Ceph, no Ceph, so it skipped it. Checking all of my storage, and it's okay. And then a whole bunch of miscellaneous checks. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see a total of 24 ran, 20 passed, 3 were skipped, and 1 warning, and 0 failures. So this is a good sign. But let's check to see what the warning was. The warning's right here. 1 running guest detected. Consider migrating or stopping them. And so that's something you'll need to take care of before you do the upgrade. If you're running a cluster, you'll want to migrate this machine off temporarily to do the upgrade, and then migrate it back when you're done. But if you're not running a cluster, or you don't want to migrate them off, you just need to shut down the virtual machine. So let's go into that Proxmox node, and you can see this one server that's running, Aku03. So let's shut this down, then we'll verify it's shut down. Now let's run this command again, and the warning went away. Okay, so now we're ready to upgrade. Another warning. So there is one more small warning. So Proxmox warns that after you upgrade to 7, the MAC address on the Linux spawn may change. So they warn right here, with Proxmox VE7, the MAC address of the Linux bridge itself may change, as noted by the upgrade to 6 to 7 MAC address change that they warn about here. And so if this is something you're worried about, say if you're in a hosted environment, you might want to read into that. But for me, I'm in a self-hosted environment at home, and I could care less if my MAC address from my Linux spawn changes. But if you care about that, check this out. And now, if you're ready, we'll start the upgrade. So first, we'll run an apt update, then we'll do an apt dis-upgrade, say yes here. After that, we'll want to upgrade all of our repository lists to Bullseye. And that's as simple as running this sed command. So we're going to sed or replace everything in sources.list that contains Buster and point it to Bullseye. So let's run that. Then we'll want to be sure we comment out any Proxmox VE6 repositories. So we'll edit etc apt sources.list, and we'll just check this list to make sure that none of them are pointing to 6. And you can see our sed work because now we're pointing to Bullseye, even the one that I commented out here. So that looks pretty good, but we'll also want to check the enterprise list too, just in case. And you can see here that I have this commented out before because I don't have a subscription. So this looks good too. Now we're going to add the Proxmox repositories with this command here. And if we go back to the enterprise list, we should see the list here. And that's okay if you don't have a subscription, we'll take care of this later. So let's close out of here. And there's one more command to run just in case you have your non-subscription lists somewhere else. And I got an error here that it can't read this file because I didn't put my list here. I put my list in the main sources list here. But you'll want to run that command if you store your list somewhere else. And as a reminder, I'll have all of this in the documentation that's in the description below. If you're running Ceph, you'll want to run one more command, and that's updating Ceph's repositories too. Now, I'm not running Ceph, so I'm not going to run this command, but this is what you would run. And another thing you want to check is just be sure there aren't any backports listed here. They shouldn't be here, but if you see something referring to backports, you'll probably want to comment that out because it has not been tested with the latest version of Proxmox. Okay, so now that we have new repositories, let's update them with apt update. And you might see an error about the enterprise list. We're getting a 401 because I don't have a token or I'm not authorized or have a subscription to get these updates, but that's okay. So you could ignore that if you don't have a subscription. Then we're gonna run apt dis-upgrade. And this is going to upgrade us to Proxmox 7 along with the latest Debian. Say yes. Now along the way, we might be prompted to upgrade our config files, or a package has been upgraded and now the configuration needs to be migrated. This is not normal, but when it happens to me, it's a little bit scary because I never know what to choose. But choose what's best for you in your situation. Side note, I usually say don't modify it and carry them over, but I don't know if that's the right answer. If that's the right answer or wrong answer, let me know in the comments below. But as you can see, I didn't see it. And it looks like we're upgraded already. Took about 30 seconds. Say enter to continue. And here it's showing us a list of the changes. We can hit Q to quit. So we weren't done upgrading yet. And this is the scary prompt that I see that I usually don't know what to say. As you can tell, I haven't upgraded yet. So the default is no, so I feel like no is okay. So let's just say no. Okay, so another prompt. This prompt here is just asking us if it wants us to have the system restart the service automatically. It looks like the default is no. I kind of want to say yes. So I'm gonna say yes, that sounds good to me. As you can see, I've never done this upgrade before. And these are some of the things that you'll run into. But I'm gonna say yes because we're gonna end up rebooting this at the end, and I don't really mind if the services get restarted now because nothing's even running. And so you can see that this is going to take some time. This is actually upgrading my Intel NUC. I decided to go with that one first. So the upgrade is gonna be a little bit slower for me. A lot slower than my 1U servers. So let's just let this run. Oh. Well, while we wait, introduce you to my puppies. This one's Nano. It's a little snorty. All right, come here. And this one, you see him on stream sometimes. This is Buddy. He's wild. Right, puppy? Okay, yeah. We're waiting for it to upgrade, right, puppy? Right, puppy? Still going. Should have upgraded my 1U server first. Right, puppy? Right, puppy? Okay, so another prompt. Do you want to change the home directory of user IRC? No clue who that user is. I didn't create it. Must be something for Proxmox. I'm gonna say yes. And so these are those scary prompts I was telling you about earlier. Now, I know that scary isn't the greatest, most descriptive, or even a technical term, but to me, not being a Linux administrator is kind of scary, because I've had this go wrong before in the past by making a wrong decision. So hopefully, if it goes right, you can make those same decisions here that I'm making now. If it goes wrong, just do the exact opposite. Okay, yet another question. So a new version of some temp file and some config file is available, but the version installed has currently been locally modified. So I'm just gonna keep the defaults of keep the local version currently installed. Sounds like what I wanna do for my SSH config. We'll see. Okay, it looks like it's totally done. Did it work? We'll see. So all we need to do now is just reboot and give this video a thumbs up. So let's reboot. It went down. Now I'm gonna ping it to see it come back up. And now it's responding. That's a good sign. Let's go back to the website. Hey, this is a good sign too. So it looks like it's pretty good so far. So we can see Proxmox virtual environment is 7.0-9. You can see my virtual machine automatically started up because it was set to start automatically. If I go into the console, it's actually starting up and responding. That's a good sign too. My storage is reconnected and it's still a part of my cluster. So far, this is looking pretty good. So let's check out some of the new features. So the one I keep hearing about is a better way to manage our packages. So now we have updates and we also have repositories. So it looks like we have an easy way to manage this enterprise list now, as well as our non-production list, or for all the people who don't have a subscription list. And you can see I have those both checked. But let's disable this enterprise one, and I think this looks okay. So I get Debian updates here, then I get my Proxmox updates, and this is the no subscription list. It says not for production use, but I've been using it for quite some time. And then we disabled the enterprise list. So if we go to updates now and run refresh, we still get the nag screen, and that seemed to run okay. So no updates, obviously I just updated the system. But this is kind of nice. I mean, I've been managing it in the terminal before. It's kind of nice to see it here, but we'll take it. Hopefully this is the first of many updates that come to the UI, so we're not always digging around in a terminal. So let's go see the notes field, the other one that I would guess I was kind of excited about. So let's go to VM, and we'll go to summary, and we'll go to notes, and we'll go to edit. And I thought you could do markdown here now. So let's try a title, and let's do a subtitle. Let's do an unordered list. Hey, there we go. So markdown works. So pretty cool. So if you're used to writing markdown, .md files like you do for GitHub, or a lot of documentation is in markdown, that will work here. So pretty cool. The next thing we want to check is the other feature, and that's downloading ISOs directly. So here we go, download from URL, let's click it. So let's grab the Proxmox ISO. I know you would never do this, but let's copy this link address, paste it in here. I'm gonna query the URL, I guess. Okay, so it found the file name, nice. Oh, and then we can check the checksum here. So the hash algorithm. So what did they use? SHA-256, I think. Let's check. So they use SHA-256 checksum, and here is the checksum. So let's copy that, paste it in here in the checksum, and just say download. Cool, so now our server is downloading that ISO directly, and then it should verify the checksum afterwards. And this isn't a huge feature, it's just a nice quality of life upgrade. It skips a step for me from downloading on this machine and then uploading it directly to that machine right away. Okay, it's downloaded and now it's calculating the checksum, which could take a while on slower systems. And here we go, task is okay. Close out of here. And here we have our ISO, pretty awesome. And so this is just a couple of features that are included in Proxmox 7. There are a whole host of fixes and performance improvements underneath the covers. And while I can't really show them all, I'm sure you'll discover them over time and let me know. And with one server done, I still have 2 to go. So what do you think of Proxmox 7? Are you going to upgrade? Have you already upgraded? Or are you just gonna hold off for a bit? Let me know in the comments section below. And remember, if you found anything in this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Totally an aside, but anytime I get the same question 5 or 6 times, that's where I know that, okay, I skipped over something, or I glossed over something, or I didn't explain something well enough, so I really appreciate it. So if you ever like, I don't know, hesitant to ask the same question in the YouTube contents, just ask it, or comments, just ask it, because I see those. And when I see the same types of questions, that's where I know that I have some problems. And just, I'm just saying, like, don't assume, oh, well, this one person asked, so I'm not gonna ask. Feel free to ask away. So anyways,